Welcome to Steve Lazer's Quarantine Cooking, where we make some of my favorite dishes, my favorite foods, yummy desserts and breakfasts, lunches and dinners. So you're all set for some new ideas for the quarantine.
Quarantine cooking, yeehaw!
All right, hey everybody. Just wanted to give you a heads up. When I was a kid, I watched cooking shows all the time. And I always thought it was weird that everything was like perfect and pre-measured and laid out, and they put the food in the oven and it came right out. And I was like, if I ever have a cooking show, it's gonna be real life, like the real deal, looking for utensils and measuring. And you find out, like, I love to cook, but I don't have the best technique. I'm not the best measurer. Sometimes I curse a little bit. But it's all gonna be real life cooking. So today, we're gonna start with a banana bread recipe. So what I do is grab a recipe that I like, and then I chop it up and write it out. I use my son Wyatt's drawings. He's 8 years old, and I really wanna keep these without having a ton of paper everywhere. So instead of throwing them away, I use it to write down my recipes on. So we're cycling a little bit, and I'll get to remember the fun Mr. Wyatt. So first thing I do is I take the recipe, grab a little tape here. Oops. So once you're done with the fumbling around with the tape, you're gonna hang your recipe up where about head height so you can see it. All right. The next thing I do here is I grab a plastic bag for any trash that we make, and I just hang this from the cabinets. All right. So the first thing we're gonna want to do is grab two really good sized plastic bowls. We have these here. All right. So we're going to be working out of bowl A and bowl B. So the first thing I want to do on here is set the oven to 350. All right. And then we're going to grab some butter. All right. So I use salted butter for this. So a lot of the recipes ask for salt added to the recipe, but I found that I like the taste, and they asked for unsalted butter. I use the salted butter instead, so you still get a little bit of salt in that the recipe needs without being overly salty. So we're gonna So the recipe asks for a half a cup of butter, so I use a stick, right? We're gonna put that in the microwave for 1 minute and let it melt. So once we get the butter melted, you're gonna wanna grab you a 5x9 loaf pan. All right, and then we are going to butter and flour the pan. So I like to get like a handy barbecue brush, right? We don't want to use a lot of our butter because we need it for the recipe, but I really want to get the corners really well, like each corner, and then spread it from there, okay? All right. Okay. And then we're gonna set the butter aside. Come over here. Get some flour, just a little bit. Then I learned to do this over the sink so that I'm not getting flour everywhere. All right. Then just give it a couple shakes, huh? All right. So then we just set this aside. All right, and now we're gonna come over to bowl A, which is going to have basically all of our dries. So start out with the flour, and it is asking for 1 3/4 cups of flour. All right, so now we want to add 3/4 of a cup of sugar. All right. All right, here comes the last one. All right, next we need 1 teaspoon of baking powder. All right, then I know that I'm gonna need baking soda too, so grab that. All right, so we have 1 tablespoon of baking powder. This is always confusing. All right, and we need 1/4 tablespoon of baking soda. All right, next we are going to grab some cinnamon. I want to get about a cup. Oops. We're gonna get a cup here of chopped nuts. Not like super chopped though, but not like halved either. So today we're using walnuts. All right. So now we have like some bigger pieces, some smaller pieces, just like a good mix, right? Okay, pour those in there. All right. And now we're gonna set this bowl aside.
Go.
All right, so we're gonna get 3 gross bananas and 1 almost gross banana. Okay? And pause it. All right, so you're gonna get you 3 gross bananas and 1 kind of gross banana. So the really gross bananas, you want to get your cooking scissors, which are probably in your kids' room that they use for some arts and craft for their school. So these bananas get a little bit gnarly to work with, but they're nice and liquored up. All right, so this is why we keep our trash can close. These gross peels go in there, and then we just have the not so gross banana left, right? So now we're ready for the eggs. Before we get the eggs though, we need to mash these bananas. So the gross ones, they mash up the easiest. So I'm just gonna work on the sort of gross one first, and then kind of get them all together. All right. You don't want to make like a smoothie out of it though, right? You still want some like little chunks for the bread. All right, so that looks pretty good. Now we're gonna grab the eggs. All right, so we have chickens at our house, and don't be scared by the green eggs. They're perfectly natural here. So grab a couple of these bad boys. We like the chicken eggs from the yard because they have like a nice orange protein yolk. All right, so we're just gonna make like a little pocket here with the eggs. And then again, I have my handy dandy trash can right here. Right, and then we're just kind of whip the eggs in their pocket first, right? And then move them around
right into the bananas. See why you don't want to mash the bananas too much at first, right? Because you're constantly like mashing them at each step of mixing. So next, still got my stick of butter from before. Gonna add that in here. Then I always like to make sure I get all that butter in there, right? So I'm gonna so we're just gonna brush it out here. All right. Now, the next step is our extracts. So I use 2 extracts. I really like the flavor of the vanilla, but I also like a little maple too. So I'm gonna grab those extracts and get them in the bowl. We're gonna go 2 teaspoons of vanilla. All right. And 1 teaspoon of maple extract. All right. Mix that up. All right. So now we need to get ourselves a rubber spatula. All right, so now we're gonna fold our wets with our dries. So bowl B into bowl A. So the way I do that is like kind of Johnny Cash style, like 1 piece at a time. So just a little bit goes in there at first. And then we're just gonna kind of mix that in. All right, trying to get stuff off the edges. All right, and then we're gonna do a bigger portion this time. Oops. I'm just trying to, again, get these edges, right, into working. And then the last of it, again, we just gonna try and get all of it here. Alright, so now we want to work this, but being careful that we don't work it too hard, right? So we want a nice spread at the end of this, and if we get too rough with it, it's going to be too smooth. It's not going to have the consistency that we want. So see, and then we're kind of keep folding it, like get all the dry mixed with the wet. Now we're going to come over here and grab this floured and buttered pan. All right, and then we want to get this in kind of in an even fashion, right? So we're moving the large bowl across the pan. We just keep working it all out until
You got some on the counter?
yeah. Cooking should be messy, right? Like we got a little on the counter there, something that you don't see on like the cooking shows with all the perfect chefs, right? Like I like making something messy into something tasty and nice looking for the family. All right, so once we have it in there, then we're just gonna take the top of this and almost brush it with your spatula so it's nice and even, okay? Now, all right, so then we're gonna take this and throw it in the oven at 350 for 1 hour. All right, last thing that I do is I just grab a little taste of this because it's delicious. You want to try a little, Wyatt? Oh, look. All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you in about an hour when we take that sucker out of there.
1 hour later.
All right, so 1 hour later, we're gonna go ahead and check our banana bread here. So take it out of the oven. And if you look at this bread right here, so there should be like 1 or 2 of these nice splits. Should have this nice cinnamony brown color. We're gonna take a toothpick and then we're gonna go to the middle of the bread and press the toothpick in there. We'll take it out and there shouldn't be anything on the toothpick. It should be clear. Okay, we'll try it here. Still clear. All right, so it's good. Next, we're gonna get out our wire rack. All right, so we've got our wire rack here. All right, so I'm gonna take, I am going to take a little pie server here. And then we're just gonna make sure that none of this is stuck to the sides. All right. All right. All right. So then I'm just gonna turn it upside down on the wire rack. All right. Then we'll grab it here, turn it over. Right. Now at my house, we can't leave the wire rack right here because the dog will eat our banana bread. So we're gonna move it on the back side of the sink. And we're gonna let it cool for about a half an hour and then we'll go ahead and wrap it in some aluminum foil. But this is the finished product. This is your banana bread. Go ahead and give it a try as soon as you can. It is so delicious. I try and make these every Sunday, and then my boys eat them for breakfast every day until usually Wednesday or Thursday. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe at the bottom of my page.